Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my predictions for the new cars that are going to be coming out with the upcoming DLC that is dropping in December. Now we do have a, not confirmed officially by ROCKSTAR date, but we have a date that it's going to come out. It's coming out on December 10th. This is basically confirmed by the end date of the GTA Plus month. If you didn't know, whenever the GTA Plus month ends during like an update month, it basically signals when the next update is coming out, because the GTA Plus next month always starts with the release of the DLC or very shortly after. So anyways, the GTA Plus end date for the previous one, or the one that's currently going on right now, is December 9th, which means that Tuesday, December 10th is the release date of the new DLC, which Rockstar has confirmed already. We do know that we're going to be getting what is seemingly a new Bravado Banshee, and it's going to be called the GTS, it looks like, based on the badge that you can see here on the side of it. And we are going to be getting multiple vehicles with this DLC. Rockstar have also said that if we do hit our heist challenge quota, then we will get access to yet another car with this DLC. So hopefully we do that. We need to get $20 trillion by December 4th. So we got about 11 days to do so, or 10 days to do so when this video is dropping, actually, as a matter of fact. So make sure you guys are grinding out some heists. They are eligible for the total amount of money for that challenge. But anyways, I got some solid picks here for some vehicles that I think are pretty likely to be coming out with this DLC. Now, I've got a lot of picks, and there's no way that all of these vehicles are going to make it, but I do think at least 2 of these are going to be in this new DLC. I don't see a way on God's green earth that that does not happen. So anyways, we're gonna hop into it. I don't really have it organized. It's just kind of cars that I was thinking of when I was making the list, and I think these are going to be solid locks. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the first car prediction, which is a Ferrari SF90 Stradale. I think that this car has a pretty high likelihood of getting into the game. Rockstar likes to drop new supercars occasionally that will just outpace everything else in the game. Now we do kind of have the Gradiatelli RSX, which is pretty damn close to an SF90. But I do feel like there is maybe slightly room for improvement there, but I don't really know at the same time. So the Stradale, this one's kind of up in the air for me. I'm not 100% on it, but I do feel like it is maybe a possibility that we get an updated version, maybe like an RSX 2 or something like that. I definitely think this one is less on the likelihood scale, so I wanted to just get it out of the way right off the bat. But next up, I do have the Lotus Emira, which is a new car. Lotus just released it last year, I think it was, and it's pretty cool. It's got a 4-liter Toyota V6, and it is supercharged. It makes like 400 horsepower. Maybe it's a 3.5-liter V6, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But the Emira is a really sick car. I think this thing looks awesome. It's mid-engined, and I think that it could be a pretty sweet car to have in GTA Online. I think that it would be a sports category vehicle. Just based on the performance in real life, I do think that that is pretty likely. But yeah, I think the Emira is a possibility at the very least. Next up, of course, we have the Lamborghini Revuelto. This thing's been catching a lot of attention lately, I would say. It makes like 1,000 horsepower. It's like a pretty direct competitor to the SF90, although it seems like it is slower in real life. I feel like I always see Revueltos getting destroyed by SF90s, but nonetheless, it is Lamborghini's new flagship, their new V12, and it is a hybrid. I do think that this one could definitely come into GTA Online. Rockstar does love their Pegasi vehicles, so I definitely think this is a high likelihood of possibility. However, if not, the Lamborghini Temerario, which is a Huracan replacement that is slated to be coming out next year, I do believe it is going to be a really high revving V8 hybrid. I think it revs to like 10,000 RPM or something, or it's supposed to at least. And it's supposed to be replacing the Huracan. I do think that this thing could definitely be coming out this year. I could see definitely maybe calling it the Tempesta 2 or something like that, because it is kind of like the Tempesta, but a little bit different. I do think that this is a possibility. Now, if those two don't come out, I would still like to see a Lamborghini Aventador, and I don't really care which variant they drop. If they wanted to just drop the Aventador, and then you can have customization to make it look like the SV or the SVJ or the Aventador S or the Aventador Finale or whatever it's called. There's some final edition of the Aventador that they just released or whatever. But any of those variants would be cool, but I think the thing that would make the most sense would be to just drop an Aventador, and then you could customize it to be like an SVJ if you want it to, or you can make it look like an SV or whatever. I do think that this is a pretty high likelihood because we did see an Aventador in the GTA 6 trailer, and it was looking quite similar to an Aventador SV, so maybe they would drop it in GTA 5. I don't know for sure, but I think it is a possibility. Then of course, next up, shifting into the Mercedes lineup, I would like to see a Mercedes E63S AMG. Now, I do have one of these, I did just get it, so I would like to see it in game, obviously, but I do think that it is time to get a new version of maybe the Benefactor Shafter or potentially the Benefactor Schwarzer. And I think that it would be cool to see a variant of it that is not just rear wheel drive and spins the tires forever. I would like to see the all wheel drive system from the E63S on it so that it actually has some pretty decent performance. I think that that would be really cool. I'm not sure, but I think it is a possibility. At least I very much hope so. And another Mercedes I would like to see is an updated Benefactor Dubsta. So I'd like to see a Mercedes G63, G65, or a Mercedes 4x4 squared, which would be my dream Dubsta. Or if they just added a G63 that you can put in, you know, Benny's kit on or something like that, or maybe just even take the regular Dubsta we have in the game and upgrade it into the 4x4 squared through Benny's. I think that could be pretty cool as well, but I think it is definitely time for an updated Dubsta. I feel like it's like very, very long overdue, but I guess we'll have to see. And another one that I've been asking for a long time is the McLaren 765 LT. I think this is the best looking McLaren that they currently make. It is an awesome vehicle. I think it would be super sweet to see one, and I kind of can't believe we don't have something at least similar in the game, like a 720S looking vehicle. We do have the Progen MRS, but that's based off the Senna, so I could maybe see them just kind of taking that and like maybe changing it a little bit to be more like a 765 LT. I would definitely like to see that, obviously. I think a lot of other people would too. I'd also like to see an updated BMW M5 or an updated Oracle, they could call it in game, like the Oracle 2 or something like that. We do have two variants of the Oracle, being the regular Oracle or the Oracle XS. So maybe like an Oracle X something, I don't know. I would like to see an F90 M5 though. I think that that would make a lot of sense. I kind of can't believe we don't have one, honestly, but that would be really cool to see. Speaking of BMW, I would also like to see an F80 M3 or an F82 M4. Either of those would be really cool, and likewise with those, I'd also like to see a BMW G80 M3 or G82 M4. I think that that is probably the most likely vehicle that's going to be coming out with this DLC is the G80 M3 or the G82 M4, because that car is insanely popular, like insanely popular. I feel like everybody has a G80 M3 or a G82 M4, you know what I mean? Like I feel like social media is just covered in these cars, and I just can't see Rockstar skipping over that. So I really feel like this is probably one that we are going to see with this update. Speaking of cars that I also think are really likely, I think a 992 Porsche 911 Turbo S could definitely come out with this update, or a 992 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. I think both of these cars are also super popular on social media, particularly the 3RS, but I think that they could maybe release an updated Comet into GTA, something similar to the S2, but maybe a little bit updated. Maybe give it all-wheel drive, which would be cool, which would give us that Turbo S aspect of it, but maybe have the customization to turn it into like a GT3 RS. If you don't know, I hate the Pfister Comet S2 that we have in GTA because I feel like that car is incapable of turning. I've had a lot of people say that that's not true, and I don't know how it's not true. That thing will not go around a corner. I mean, it will, but you just can't be on the throttle like at all whatsoever. It's just really disappointing to me because I think Porsches are some of the best handling cars on earth, and for the S2 to be so shit, it just doesn't really make sense to me. So I would really like to see a 992 Porsche 911 at the least, and then, you know, if we can upgrade it to be more of a Turbo S or a GT3 RS, that would be sweet. Really want to see that though, for sure. Next up, another one that I think everybody's asking for and has been asking for a long time is the Honda or Acura NSX, being like the first gen or the second gen. It really doesn't matter to me. I like both of them. I think more people would probably like the first gen. I feel like that is the more iconic one slightly, but either of them would be really, really cool. And I honestly can't believe we don't have this in game yet. But I think this one, I don't know. I think this one is actually pretty unlikely because I feel like we should have had it by now if we were going to be getting it. So it's unfortunate, but I think that seems to be the case. Another vehicle I'd like to see is a Ram TRX or a Cummins turbo diesel. I think that either of those would be really sweet to see. I think that the TRX is a pretty likely one, honestly, and they could call it like the Bravado Bison Hellfire, something like that. So I think that is actually kind of a likely one to see because they have been adding trucks like slowly into GTA. Like they just added the Declasse Yosemite 1500 with the last update there in the summer. I feel like a TRX is a possibility. At least I very much hope it is because I think it would be a very cool one to see. Another pickup truck I would like to see in GTA is the Ford F350 or an updated Sand King. Maybe they could call it the, I don't know, Vapid Sand King something or other. I don't know. We got that. What do we have? The XL and the SWB. They could just call it, I don't know, the Sand King 4x4, maybe like the Cara 4x4, something like that. I feel like that would be really sweet. F350 I feel like is a pretty iconic vehicle. You see them all the time in real life, at least in North America, mind you, but I feel like that is a possibility for sure. Another one that I do think is probably pretty likely is a Ferrari Puro Sang, which is the new Ferrari SUV. I feel like this one is actually kind of likely because I feel like Rockstar really does like to add SUVs, and I feel like this one kind of fits the bill because it's kind of futuristic-y sort of looking, and honestly it's a pretty cool car. I feel like I don't know if I'd have one in real life if I could obviously afford one in the first place, but yeah, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I feel like it is in the realm of possibility. Another vehicle I think that is in the realm of possibility is an Audi RS6 or Audi RS7. Either of these would be really cool to see. I think I'd prefer the RS6 because I just think it's a little bit cooler than the RS7, but the RS7 would be appreciated as well. Maybe there would be some sort of customization where you could kind of have either. I think that would be cool. Another vehicle I'd like to see is a Dodge Charger Hellcat widebody, a Buffalo Hellfire. This one just makes so much sense to me because we have the STX, which is supposed to be a scat pack. I can't see why they couldn't just put a wide body kit on an STX, give it the same engine as the Hellfire, and just call it a day. I feel like that is, I don't know, really obvious and really easy to do, honestly. Like, I don't know how to make these vehicles, but I can imagine that starting from scratch would be a lot harder than just like taking an STX and putting a different sound file on it and a different engine file on it. I don't know, but I would really like to see a Buffalo Hellfire. I think that that is long overdue at this point. Another vehicle I would like to see, and this one's kind of a little bit boring and I'm only really saying it because I have one, but a Toyota 4Runner. I feel like it could be a really cool vehicle for like off-roading and things of that nature. I think it would be within the SUV category more than the off-road category, but I do think it would make for a good vehicle to have in game, if nothing more than just to have as like sort of like an NPC vehicle that we can buy. But 4Runners are pretty customizable, so I feel like it could be kind of cool making it more of it like a TRD Pro or something like that. I feel like it could be pretty sweet, but I don't know. I feel like this one, honestly, I feel like this one could be kind of likely. I could see Rockstar doing that because nobody wants it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. I also would like to see a Toyota Tacoma. I would like to see specifically like the 2018 like body style, like that. I think it's 2016 to 2023, I believe it is, or 2022. Those Tacomas look pretty sweet. If you could make it look like a TRD Pro, I feel like that would be pretty cool as well. Something else that I think makes a lot of sense, and I've also been talking about for quite a long time, is a Dodge Durango Hellcat, and they could call it the Bravado Gressley Hellfire, because the Bravado Gressley is based off of the Dodge Durango already. They could literally just take that vehicle, update the body panels on it, give it some more power, and boom, they'd have the Dodge Durango Hellcat. I feel like that would make a lot of sense. I really hope they do it. But of course, something that I would like to see even more than the Durango Hellcat is the Jeep Cherokee Trackhawk. I think that everybody wants to see this. And the real important reason for this is because you could call it the Canis Seminole Hellfire. And that has a nice ring to it. So I really, really hope that this is the DLC that we get the Trackhawk in, and we can have the Canis Seminole Hellfire in GTA Online. If Rockstar does that, I think I would personally write a letter. I think I'd write a letter to Rockstar Games and just send it to them. It would definitely not get to anybody or get seen by anybody, I feel like, but I'd write them a letter. I'd just say, I'd write them a letter. I'd just address it, HarmNone, and I'd just say thank you, and that's it, if you're Rockstar and you're watching this, you didn't hear that part, so it's at least a surprise if you open it. But you know what I'm saying? I think that the Canna Seminole Hellfire would be really, really cool to see. Another one I've been asking for a long time, Nissan Silvia S15. I don't think this is going to be coming with this DLC. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like we should have got this a long time ago if we were going to get one. So I feel like it's pretty unlikely, but such a clean ass car. Shout out to Fresh Kicks, by the way, on YouTube. He's got the best looking S15. He just wrapped it recently. It's like blue now, but when it was white with the chrome TEs on it, man, that shit, it is so goddamn good looking. Still is good looking, but the S15, solid ass vehicle. I would really like to see one. Don't think we're going to get it though, unfortunately. Another vehicle that I think is a little bit less likely at this point is a Subaru WRX STI, and I would like to see like the newer model, not the newest model, but the like 2020. I think it's called the W209, if I'm not mistaken. If it is W209, it's 209. I don't know what the letter is that goes in front of it, but I feel like that could be a cool one to see. I don't think it's going to happen, honestly, at this point. I feel like they've had way too much opportunity to add it, and then they just kind of never have. So probably pretty unlikely, but I would like to see it nonetheless. Another one that I've been asking for a very long time, and that I think the community as a whole would like to see a lot, is the Lexus LFA. I also, unfortunately, think that this is pretty unlikely to happen, but nonetheless, it would be appreciated, that's for sure. And if they can make a new sound file for it that's exclusive to this car, that would be sweet, but I don't think it's going to happen, like I said. Speaking of Lexus, the LC500 would also be really, really, really cool. I think the LC500 is a pretty beautiful looking car. I think the performance is pretty underwhelming in real life, to be honest. It like weighs like almost 5,000 pounds and only has like 467 horsepower or something like that, but still a really cool car, really good looking car, really luxurious car. And I think that it would fit into GTA Online pretty well, I gotta say. So that would be really sweet to see. Another vehicle I'd like to see is a Chevrolet or a GMC 3500 diesel. I think that this is like a vehicle that is long overdue. Being that we did just get the Declasse Yosemite 1500 though, I feel like this one is pretty unlikely, especially in comparison to the TRX or the F350 that are both kind of more of like neglected vehicles, I would say. We do have quite a few Declasse trucks. Granted, we do have quite a few Vapid trucks as well, so that's another reason I think the TRX is the most likely, but I still would appreciate seeing one of these in game for sure. I'd also like to see a 1969 Chevy Camaro specifically. We have quite a few different variants of Camaros, and a lot of them are pretty terrible, except for the ZX that we got like pretty recently. So yeah, I'd like to see an older Camaro. We do have the OG Vigora that's been out forever, but it's kind of shit. I mean, it has some customization, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they could do so much better now with the stuff that they have access to in comparison to what they had in like, you know, 2011, 2012 before GTA came out and when they were making the car models. So yeah, I feel like an updated Vigoro would be really cool. An updated old Vigoro, I should say. Next up, we got the Jaguar E-Type, and hopefully they don't do anything similar to what Jaguar has done in real life. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking, but anyways, the E-Type would be super cool to see as a sports classic class vehicle in GTA. I think that is like, I think it goes without saying, the E-Type is one of the best looking cars ever. And it's solid, man. I would like to see one for sure. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to do anything really, really well. I just would like to see one. And I think that it could be a very cool sports classic car to add into GTA at this point. We've got a lot of sports classics in the game, and I'm honestly pretty shocked we don't have an E-Type yet. And on top of this, I'd also like to see a Jaguar F-Type. Now, we do have the Ocelot Lynx in game already, but the Ocelot Lynx I feel like is almost more of a XK or an XJ. I can't remember what the hell it is. Hang on, I'm pausing the recording to go and look this up. An XKR is the one that I was thinking of. Or the XK. I feel like the Lynx is definitely more of an XK. I feel like we need something a little bit more F-Type like. Now, some of the customization for the Lynx does kind of get into F-Type territory, but it's not an F-Type, that's for sure. So I would like to see maybe just an Ocelot Lynx 2 or something like that. They could call it something simple like that. Again, I do think this is pretty unlikely though, because I think they should have just done it a long time ago if they were going to, but a man can dream, I guess. I'd also really like to see an updated Aston Martin Vantage V12. They just released some new ones like relatively recently, and I think it's a great looking vehicle. I feel like Aston Martin is actually killing it now. I feel like they had a little bit of a weird phase there with like maybe like the DB11 and stuff, but I feel like they brought it back with like the Vantage V12 and some of their newer models. So I definitely feel like an Aston Martin Vantage V12 could be a really, really cool one to see. We haven't got a Dubachi vehicle in some time. I feel like it's been a while. So I think that could be a cool one. Be a good way to bring it back, I feel like. Another vehicle I would like to see a lot is a Pagani Zonda, and I've talked about this before in the past. I feel like a Zonda is just an obvious choice. Now, we do have like the Grotti Cheetah, and we do have, of course, the Pegassi Osiris, but neither of them kind of hit the mark as far as I'm concerned when it comes to like Pagani. So I feel like a Zonda could be really cool. I also feel like the new Pagani Utopia could be really cool to see as well. I don't really think the Utopia is that awesome looking, especially in comparison to the Zonda and the Pagani Huayra, which I would also like to see in game, just as maybe an improvement to the Osiris, because the Osiris is like decent, but it's not like, I'd like to see a Huayra like BC, you know what I mean? Or like a Huayra R, something just a little bit better, a little bit more accurate with Rockstar's more recent like realism sort of thing that they've been going for. I feel like a lot of the cars in GTA have been looking a little bit more like their real life counterparts, whereas I feel like when they made the Osiris, they were still like GTA-ifying real life cars, if that makes sense. So I'd definitely like to see an updated Osiris, but I don't think it's going to happen again. Another vehicle I'd like to see is Ford Mustang GT, and don't get me wrong, I know we have 10 Ford Mustang GTs in the game, but I feel like it is actually a pretty high likelihood that Rockstar will add another one, and maybe they'd make the Vapid Dominator GT, but not convertible this time. I still don't understand why they gave us the Dominator GT as a convertible instead of a hardtop. That makes no sense to me. It is the dumbest thing that Rockstar has done in a long time, I feel like. So I would really like to see the Dominator GT come into the game as a hardtop variant, because I'm sick of seeing that convertible one, man. It's just it's such a shame. I don't like it at all, but I feel like this is actually a pretty high likelihood, because why not add another Vapid Dominator into GTA, right? My second to last pick, I would like to see a Chevrolet Corvette C6. Mostly because of my buddy Twingo, because he really, really wants a C6, and he has kind of made me get into Corvette C6s. I think that they are really, really awesome looking. I feel like I have seen them a lot more on the internet recently, and I feel like a Corvette C6 would be a really, really cool one to see, especially if we get some good customization options for it as well. I feel like that would be very, very solid, and I feel like a lot of people would really like to see that as well. And unfortunately, for our last pick, I think that this is probably the most likely vehicle that is going to be added with this new DLC, and it is a Tesla Cybertruck. I do think the Cybertruck is cool in some aspects, but then I also think it's like so lame in other aspects. But I think that it is so iconic and so popular in culture right now, I cannot see Rockstar skipping over it and not adding it with this DLC. I just don't see a world in which that does not happen. I think that that is super likely, and I feel like Rockstar's been adding a lot more EVs recently. I definitely feel like a Cybertruck is coming with this DLC. I would almost be willing to put money on it, but then again, Rockstar does like to be unpredictable, so I really don't know. But I feel like if you were going to put money on it, I feel like that is the vehicle that is definitely going to get added with this DLC. Again, not 100%, don't actually go and bet on this, but I do feel like it is probably pretty likely to happen, that's for sure. So anyway, guys, there you have it. Those are my picks for the upcoming December DLC car predictions. I think that we're gonna get a few of these for sure. I'm thinking probably out of my list of almost 30 vehicles, I think it is, I feel like we're probably gonna get 2 or 3. So yeah, get ready. It's gonna be awesome. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think out of my list are the most likely vehicles to get added into the game. Let me know what you would like to see get added with this update as well. And comment down below and let me know if you think this is gonna be the last DLC for GTA Online. I personally do not think it is, but you never know. They might be all hands on deck for GTA 6, and this might just be the last thing we get. So who knows? But let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, comment a 7 if you made it to the end of the video as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't, of course. Consider subscribing if you guys are new. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.